Welcome back to Wave Watch, ladies and gentlemen. Roll Wave. It's been a fun couple weeks in Tulane football. You got me, Patty V. Obviously, got Dave Rainey over here. Appreciate you guys for joining in for another episode. A lot of cool things going on. College football playoff has officially brought in the Tulane Green Wave at number 20 this week. Obviously, second week there in a row. We weren't here last week. We took a little mini vacation, but we're back and we're ready to talk Tulane football. You got a pretty good Thanksgiving game coming up here against Memphis. So we're going to touch on a few of those things. But just like the last go round, I'm sure we're going to be talking about how the heck the Tulane Green Wave can finish on a high note and get into the college football playoff. So with that, I'll say hello to my co-host, Dave Rainey, and let him chime in. What up, fam?
What's up, bro? What a time. What a time to be alive.
Yeah.
Right? I don't even know where to start with this.
I know where to start.
Okay.
First of all,
okay.
Don't eat the cheese.
Okay.
It's rat poison.
That's right. Good.
All right, we got all the summer euphemisms out of the way.
There's a few conversations I think we can have here. We can kind of dive into what we were somewhat talking about beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Or I have a little question for you question adjacent.
Okay, what's the question?
No, it's not really a question. I want you, this is a popular thing on Tulane Twitter right now, make the case, and this is going to lead into kind of our conversation thing.
Okay.
Make the case for 2-loss Tulane at the end of the season versus, or to be in the playoffs over 1-loss Boise State.
I don't want to.
Okay.
I know that like you're setting me up to like go on this whole thing. I don't think that there is a case.
Fair. If that's what you think, I mean, that's fair because I don't necessarily think there is either.
Yeah, it's and I don't mean, I know there's some people out there that'll disagree. They're like, well, you could go about it this way and this could happen and that could happen and Tulane gets in. I think I've said for a while now, unless Boise loses, Boise has to lose. Then you have a case. Unless Boise loses, your only way in is if the Big 12 wets the bed. That's it, which I think that is more realistic than the Boise situation. So I guess what I'm saying is it's probably a long shot. You need some things to fall in your favor. All you got to do is keep winning football games. But there's, definitely an opportunity there.
I'm just pulling up the Boise State schedule. Wyoming and Oregon State the rest of the way, and then probably UNLV in the championship. Yeah, that's tough.
I don't see them losing.
They could lose to UNLV.
It's possible.
They could lose to UNLV.
And if UNLV beats them, that definitely opens a can of worms. I mean, they're ranked behind Tulane right now. Do they leapfrog Tulane?
Yeah, you can't. I don't know. I don't think you can put UNLV ahead of Tulane.
Okay.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I think Tulane's got a better resume.
If not,
they're playing better.
Yeah, if it was us 20, them 21. Like if it was close like that, maybe. I don't know. I don't think so. Especially if Tulane keeps going the way they're going, where they're just dominating.
Yeah,
everybody. Like we were, like completely fair, not necessarily worried about Navy, but we're like, this is gonna be a tough game.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, they lost their quarterback pretty early on, but still, like it was a dog walk. Like,
yeah,
and that's just been consistent since like. Maybe after the Rice game, I feel like that's been every week.
Yeah, it has. I mean, it's interesting. The Navy game specifically, I think, is the one that really opened up a lot of eyes. More so for the college football playoff. I was saying weeks ago that you got to get in the polls as early as possible. That way you can work your way up. I don't think that I took into account that they could dog walk Navy and really open up a lot of eyes. It was senior day at Navy. Navy, I heard this stat earlier, listening to Coach Summerall on another show. I actually had not heard this stat until earlier today. Navy had won something like 19 out of their last 20 senior days. And Tulane went up there and beat them. Not only beat them, throttled them.
The week before, they held North Texas to like 10 points or 7 points, something like that.
Yeah.
It might have even been 3. I don't remember. It was only like a 10-7 or 10-3 game.
Yeah.
Was the game. So like their defense is for real. And Tulane just came out and embarrassed them.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
just playing complete football too.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if you're going to make the case for Tulane over Boise, which again, I agree, I think it's more. I don't think this happens either, but I think it's more likely both make it than Tulane jumping.
Yeah,
Boise. I mean, like I don't think it's like Boise far and away better than Tulane. I think if you played today, I think Tulane probably wins the game. Maybe there's a little bias there, but I think Tulane wins the game. But your losses are your losses.
So that's the thing, right? Like you wanted me to make the argument that an 8-2 Tulane, I don't know if you said better or belongs in over Boise State, who's got one loss right now. And I take that as like resume wise, right? I think if you tell me make the case Tulane is better than Tulane, they're playing better football.
Yeah.
They're a more well-rounded team. They just look better right now. They look the part. They look complete. They look like they can go toe-to-toe with anybody. And I'm not sure Boise can do that. It feels like Boise's squeaking out. They've got a running back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing. No, neither one of them, like we played Navy, but like neither team is really playing like really hard opponents right now. Like Boise hasn't played necessarily a tough opponent since UNLV weeks ago. And Tulane just played Navy, but before that, like UL maybe, was Tulane's last like good opponent, which at the time we weren't even sure. Yeah. So it's kind of just like who's embarrassing their opponents more right now. And like, to be fair, they just beat San Jose 42-21, but then they only beat Nevada by 7, but then they beat San Diego by 30.
Yeah.
So it's like, they are what and what.
Yeah. I mean, looking at it, Boise State's strength of schedule is 77. Tulane's strength of schedule is 96. So yeah, I mean,
that's odd. That feels odd to me. Like maybe because Oklahoma fell off, but they lost to Oregon. But they have. I mean, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, remaining strength of schedule, Tulane's 80. Boise State, I believe I saw was like 96 or something like that. So Tulane's got tougher opponents, but I mean, it still wasn't what. Like that is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Tulane's path to winning out is not easy, right? Like I know some of the fan base is kind of just assuming it's going to happen.
It should happen. It should happen.
It should. And maybe they'll do the same thing they just did, and Memphis. They'll play Memphis and embarrass Memphis because the Memphis isn't Memphis of years past, but it's a rivalry game, and we know how that can be. Right? Like it wouldn't surprise me if we're in a dogfight with Memphis all game.
Talented football team.
Yeah, like, but again, if they come out and just embarrass Memphis, I'll be like, okay. Even though that's not a really good team, record wise, like that's impressive.
Yeah.
And then Army's a good football team. Like this isn't your granddad's Army. You know what I mean? This is an Army team that throws the ball a little bit.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that's the main thing people probably don't understand about Army yet. Maybe they haven't watched. Maybe they have. Tulane fans are smart.
Yeah.
But Army is not the Army of old in the sense of like they don't play like
Navy.
Yeah.
Like they're not going to come out there and it's not air raid. Right. Like it's still going to be run focused. But like that's another game though where I wouldn't be surprised if Tulane just completely controls the game. Yeah. They're playing such good football right now.
Yeah. Ball control, run the ball, throw it when you need to. We got so much talent. They're so balanced. Their defense is ranked 11th in the nation. Like they're playing good football.
Yeah. I mean, and we've seen them in multiple weeks in a row make plays on special teams. Like they're just, all three phases are just hitting on all cylinders at the right time right now. And it would be a shame to see them not get in. Yeah. As like, I think it's clear as day right now who the best, I'll say 3 group of 5 teams are. And it's Boise, not necessarily in this order, Boise, Army, and Tulane. Yeah. And it would be upsetting to not be able to sneak in.
Yeah. I mean, it's still a long shot. I mean, we said it from the beginning of time, like losing to Kansas State and Oklahoma, you had to take one of those, right? If you take one of those, you're in a whole different position right now. We're not even talking about this. Tulane is like hands down the number one group of 5 team. But it didn't play out that way. And you play the ball, it's in front of you. I think there's still an opportunity. You need some things to go your way. We talked before this. We started to have a conversation about the outcome of the Army Notre Dame game and kind of what we wanted to see. Selfishly, there's reasons that we would want Army to lose that game because we want Tulane to host the conference championship. I was somewhat saying that I kind of prefer Army to win that game because then it just helps our resume basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we could dive into that and talk about that a little more, but give me your thoughts on what you want out of that game.
Yeah, just to kind of touch on what you were saying and what we were talking about before. I think at this point it matters more what Boise does than anything. Like if Army loses to Notre Dame, now if Army gets blown out by Notre Dame, that hurts.
Mm-hmm.
That hurts. If they're competitive and like barely lose to Notre Dame, I think they'll fall behind Tulane and probably be unranked. But I think people will still recognize they're a good football team. Whereas when Navy got blown out by Notre Dame, it was kind of like, all right, maybe this is a little fluky.
Mm-hmm.
I think as long as Tulane wins the AAC and wins it convincingly these two games. Now, if Army loses to Notre Dame, you have to almost blow them out. Like you can't be in a dogfight with Army in the AAC championship at that point.
Yeah,
because like I said, it looks like a weaker opponent. But if you dominate these last two games, I don't necessarily like you're not wrong because obviously them beating Notre Dame looks better for Tulane.
Yeah,
right. But I think if Tulane just handles their business, it all that matters is what happens with Boise. So that's where I'm at with that. I mean, as far as like what I want to see from the game, I think I just kind of said it. I just want them to just dominate the game like I think they can.
Tulane, you talking about Tulane against Army?
Yeah,
I was talking about the original question I meant was like Army versus Notre Dame. Like, what did you want out of that game? But you answered it. I mean,
I don't even know. You'd have to ask me that day or like in the moment what I'm pulling for because I don't know. Like, if I'm taking me wanting to watch Tulane host an AAC championship out of the equation,
yeah,
I guess I'm pulling for Army to win, just because it looks better. And I think it would tell you a lot about Tulane if they have to then Army's for real.
Yeah,
and you're facing a really good opponent.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So that's my argument, and it
also just the last thing. It also kind of helps because Notre Dame's also ranked kind of high.
Yeah,
and that knocks Notre Dame down to 2 losses.
Who knows? Yeah, who knows where they end up, right? Like that's kind of why. So I was telling Dave before we hopped in here, I was like, I want chaos. I didn't say it like that, but that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. I want chaos. I want the ultimate chaos scenario. I want the scenario where Tulane and Boise State both end up in the college football playoff. And I'm not saying that Army has to beat Notre Dame for that to happen because they don't. But I think if they do, it makes it a stronger case for Tulane to end up in that position because Army beats Notre Dame. Notre Dame's 6 right now. They fall to 9-2. They probably don't fall totally out, but they definitely fall down. Army moves up a good bit. Tulane beats Army, right? And in that situation, then you're looking at the Big 12. Like maybe Tulane beats, and I'm all spitballing here. Maybe Army moves up to 12. Maybe not that high, but maybe they move up pretty high.
This is the conversation. Why is Boise 12?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is Boise 12 specific? Like, is it just a coincidence that they're 12? Or are they 12 because they're the group of 5 team? They haven't moved up. So it makes me think like they're 12 because they're the group of 5 team.
It's interesting though, because like, I don't think it matters because they're still getting a bye right now.
Right.
Because the Big 12 is dog shit.
Yeah. But you see what I'm saying? Like, are they dead set on one group of 5 team?
I don't know.
That's the question here. You're going to find out because if you look at the teams ahead of Tulane, so this week, like A&M doesn't play. They play like Wolford or something, but then A&M plays Clemson. That's one of those teams out.
Yeah, those don't matter. Neither of those teams matter.
Well, it moves Tulane up more is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
you're going to get Tulane's going to get closer to 12.
Gotcha.
Just generically.
I'm not looking at 12. That's my argument.
Well, you kind of have to look at. Well,
you don't. You don't have to look at 12. That's my argument, but you didn't want to let me finish.
Sorry.
Let me finish. It doesn't matter if you get to 12. You just have to be higher ranked than the Big 12 champion. And the argument is the Big 12 potential champions right now, You have Colorado at 16. You have BYU at 14. And then you have two that are ranked behind you, Arizona State and Iowa State. If either one of those teams, Colorado or BYU, loses again, and then one of those teams behind you wins in the championship, you're already ahead of them. Can you maintain the distance ahead of them? And now you are that last championship winner who is the highest ranked championship winner. And then you end up getting that last spot. Big 12 doesn't even get it. That is the chaos scenario. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's where
do they want two group of 5 teams in? Do they somehow finagle to where like Iowa State and Arizona State then move up higher?
You're going to find in that scenario, you find out whether the unwritten rule is the 4 seeds go to the Power 4 conferences.
Right.
Or is it truly the best conference winners?
Yeah.
That is a scenario. But even without that, if you look at what I'm saying, there's a way you can get into the top 12 potentially.
Sure.
No, I think wouldn't you have to be technically in the top 11? Like because like if an SEC team is at, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Because I guess not because Boise's at 12. But like if Boise was at 13, 12 is out. If Boise is the group of 5 team. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But Boise, it doesn't matter because Boise's at 12.
Right.
But some of these teams ahead of you are about to knock themselves out. Clemson or Texas A&M is out. Clemson or South Carolina is out. That could automatically put you to 17. Like you're talking about BYU, they could potentially have another loss. And Colorado, they still have championship games to go. Both of those teams could be out. SMU has to play Miami. One of those teams is out. So there's a chance. And then you got SEC teams ahead of them that are all going to start or are going to end up knocking each other out. Yeah. So I don't think it's crazy that Tulane almost naturally ends up in the top 12. So that's another chaos.
I was going to say, you're thinking that just teams lose enough to where this Tulane team gets in without.
I'm only thinking that because some of them play each other.
Yeah, they do. I mean, there's going to be a lot of movement. Right. You're right.
And now in that scenario, I do still I 100% could see them putting a 3-loss SEC team in over Tulane, right?
Bama could lose again, and they're not trying.
Right. Your scenario is far more likely, but this is like a second chaos scenario. I think this is the long shot.
Yeah.
Where these teams just butcher each other, and like there's a chance, right, where South Carolina or Clemson loses to South Carolina, and they just switch them and keep Tulane at 20.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know. There's a lot of scenarios here, which is good, right? Like it's good that it's just not one path.
Yeah. I think you're going to learn a lot about what the College Football Playoff Committee thinks of Group of 5 football.
Yeah.
Like, do they trust some of these schools enough to put them in? Do they do it just to say, here you go, you got your shit show, and now they got blown out? Not that Tulane's going to get blown out, but do they do that thinking that could happen, and then never do it again?
Yeah.
And
I know they're not supposed to look at past seasons. I mean, I feel like they naturally do, right? Like
they say they don't.
Bama and Georgia get the benefit of the doubt because they're Bama and Georgia. Do they look at like if it comes down to that, where they're like, do we want 2 group of 5 teams or I don't know, South Carolina that hasn't really done much? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or BYU, who just came out of nowhere for 1 year.
Yeah.
Do you look at like Tulane's had a solid 3-year run? Like it's clearly like it's almost like the UCF situation. Like Tulane has built themselves up to be like where UCF was before they left and went to a Power 5. Is the history going to play into it? I know it's not supposed to, but you will never convince me that it doesn't.
I mean, it's humans. These are human. This human bias. People say that there's no bias, but it is human bias. And they definitely have power conference bias, and it is what it is. Some of them have East Coast bias. Like there's all these different biases that play in. I think it's difficult because at the end of the day, if I take my Tulane fandom out of this and I just look at their resume, that team's not good enough. Yeah. You know what I mean? If I watch them play, of course, it's a great football team. But if I look at their resume and I say, hey, they lost to Oklahoma, who's not a good team. They lost to K-State, who was their other big test. Who else have they beaten?
Is on-field play not part of the resume though?
It is. They say that they take that into account. I don't know.
Because the way you were like, I don't know if this is what you're doing, but the way you're wording it is all we're looking at is record.
Yeah.
Like, is that all we're looking at?
I think,
or are we looking at, hey, yeah, they haven't played anybody these last 4 or 5 weeks, but they've been doubling up their opponents.
I think because they look at all these things, right? They look at strength of schedule, they look at record, they look at common opponents, they look at, quality victories or whatever you want to call it, right? Quality losses. And if you look at the schedule alone, if I just call that part out, like you just said,
yeah,
it's not a great resume. And
that's fair.
I hate that that's the fact.
Yeah.
Or my opinion. I guess it's not a fact, but I feel like it's pretty damn close to being factual. I still think they're playing good enough football, and I still think there's a great scenario that they get in. But
yeah, look, well, I mean, you're at the point where, like you can only play the teams in front of you, right? Like they've done what they needed to do. If you were going to lose those 2 games, you couldn't have asked for a better, end of the season, like since then, right? Like you've done everything you can. You were in a couple dog fights you probably shouldn't have been in.
Yeah. Rice.
Right.
Rice. That's the only one.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at the time, UL felt weird, but now we know hindsight.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They're a pretty good team.
Yeah. They were, until last week, they were in the discussion as well.
Yeah.
I saw people trying to make the argument for UL over Tulane.
Yeah. They're still a good team.
Yeah.
It just, you dropped one. It is what it is.
Yeah. But they've done all they can. You got to keep dominating these last 2 and just hope for, I don't know, chaos.
Yeah, chaos. That's what I want. Give me chaos. That's the way Tulane gets in, and I'm okay with that. Or Boise State loses, which, hey,
listen,
great.
Hey, it's college football, man. Boise could lose to anybody.
Yeah.
Like you said, truthfully, I don't watch a lot of Boise football, but as far as I'm concerned, they're one player, right? Maybe, and I'm sorry, they do have I think it's Malachi Nelson is the quarterback. I think he's solid.
He's not their starter, is he?
He's not.
I thought they also. I don't know. I have not watched Boise State football, but I remember at the beginning of the year they announced that one of their.
That's right. Yeah, I don't know who. Honestly, all I know is Ashton Genty is amazing, and I assume that he could just have a bad day and then they lose the game. But
first in every category.
Yeah.
Have you seen his stats? They're ridiculous.
He's crazy, man. It's kind of funny. This isn't like college football playoff related, but there are legitimately 3 guys who in any year would win the Heisman, but they're all at the same time.
Yeah.
And maybe 4 if you want to throw Dylan Gabriel in there because he's got the number 1 team in the country. But Cam Ward, even though they lost, Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, and Ashton Genty, and not in that order, but those are the 3. I think any other year, if you look at their state, because they do it, when I'm watching Miami games, they put him up against the last quarterbacks to win. Yeah. And he's better at this point in the season than all of them. Yeah. And Ashton Genty is almost on pace with what was it Barry Sanders? For the record. Yeah. Any other year, this dude is the clear-cut Heisman. And then Travis Hunter just being this good of a 2-way player is the high. It's insane that the 3 of them are.
Personally, I think Ashton Genty is hands down right now, the Heisman winner.
When did they take the vote?
It's after the season.
Is it is there a chance that this is also a long shot and it's not, I'm not trying to be a bias here. If Cam Ward goes on a run and wins the national championship or gets to the national championship, if it's after the season, if he does that.
I think that they say that there is a cutoff, but they don't actually do the ceremony. And I feel like, feel like they take other things into account.
Yeah. I don't know. That's kind of, that would be the only thing I think that he could do to separate himself. It's hard because I don't know. It's fun to watch though. It's fun to watch all 3 of them. Yeah.
I think it's interesting because I think most people will think, you just said his name and I know him very well. The DB wide receiver from Colorado, Travis Hunter. I think most people think that the leg up is that he plays both sides of the ball so well. Yeah. I actually think that hurts him. I think that him playing both sides of the ball takes a little bit away. I think if he was just a wide receiver and dominating, it helps him in the Heisman discussion.
I don't think so because it seems to be he does seem to have a play on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, he does.
If we're being honest, stats are stats. But what the Heisman is about is who has more individual moments.
Heisman moments, yeah.
Right. And Cam has a couple crazy throws and ridiculous plays every few weeks. Travis has a few games where it's like a few weeks ago where he forced the fumble and then scores the game-winning touchdown.
Yeah.
So like there's that, and then Ashton Genty just running through.
Yeah.
Like 70.
I don't know if he has Heisman moments. I think
50, 60-yard runs are pretty.
Yeah. He just is a Heisman guy. Like you just can't deny it.
And nobody's talking about Dylan Gabriel, who's got the #1 team in the country. I did see this week, like they put up like the top 5 candidates and they didn't even have Cam Ward in there. I'm like, that's kind of disrespectful.
Yeah, I think he's still in there. I think the loss hurts him. If losing as a quarterback in the Heisman race definitely hurts you. But
yeah, there's a chance that he's like, he'll be back in the conversation. He probably breaks like Miami's all-time touchdown record this week.
Speaking of, while we're talking about awards, because I wanted to kind of get it back on Tulane discussion.
Sorry.
Mekhi Hughes named a finalist for the Doak Walker Award.
Good for him.
Yeah, he wasn't even on the list.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden he's a finalist. Good for him.
It's not talked about how we went from one generational running back to another.
And he's young. He's got years in him.
There's a conversation I want to have, and I'm not sure I'm ready to have it yet.
Shut up. I'm scared of what you're going to say. I have a feeling
it's a good conversation.
Okay.
I think. Like if I'm right, like it's great for Tulane.
What is it?
Are we ready to have the conversation about if he's even better?
Oh, then Tajay? I'm not ready to have that conversation. I think it's too soon. I think I want to appreciate them both for what they are. Because they're different.
That's the thing. I don't want to have the conversation and feel like I'm knocking Tajay at all. Because I'm not.
You can't. I mean, Tajay was so good.
Right. But I mean, you know how people are though. You start saying, oh, is this person better? It's almost like people take it as you're instantly trying to put down the other person. And I'm not at all, obviously. I
want to appreciate them both in this moment. Maybe
when his time is up, there may be a conversation to be had.
Yeah. I think if you compare the two, they're different. They're different types of backs.
Yeah.
I mean, Tajay had another gear, right? Not that Mekhi can't go, but Tajay had another gear that Mekhi doesn't have.
Yeah. But we don't have to stick on this, but I think that's kind of what's making me start. I'm just looking right now and kind of watching, but like he's much more one-dimensional than Tajay.
Yeah.
Like,
he's a true running back.
Right. But he is dominating games and carrying the team with just that. Right. Like if you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Like you have to be that good to be able to do that.
It's interesting. They're both, first of all, we'll just have the conversation.
Sorry.
Both of them have elite balance.
Right.
Elite balance.
Right.
Mekhi, a little more powerful. A lot more powerful, for being honest. A lot more powerful. Tajay, a lot more elusive.
Yeah.
I mean, just insane. Tajay, much better pass catcher out of the backfield. Like there's different things going on here.
If you stop Tajay in the running game, they could just use him in another way.
Yeah.
But on the other side, they just don't stop.
You can't stop Mekhi.
Yeah. It's honestly to have them both. Like if you had a both this year and were able to do the 2-back system, they are the perfect match.
It'd be great.
Yeah. I don't know. Dream world.
I don't know. Listen, I love them both.
Yeah.
Phenomenal running backs, and Tulane's lucky to have had both of them. And hey, listen,
awesome,
they've got more.
Yeah.
They've got more.
They do have more. It's
Duda looks good right now. Trey looks like he's going to be good.
We're one more running back away from running back you conversation.
Come on.
We need Tajay to start doing a little more of the NFL.
Yeah, he's been banged up, man. Poor Tajay. The talks on him coming out. Saints fans won't like to hear this, but his medicals sucked, and that's why he didn't get drafted in New Orleans. And maybe there's a point. I've heard people on Twitter calling out he just looked like he lost a step, and I'm like, I haven't even seen him play.
Yeah.
He hasn't been on the field. Yeah. Not that he was even hurt. They just haven't, played him much.
Right.
So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Different pod, different conversations.
Yeah. Very true. Where do we go from here?
We got a bye week. Everybody enjoy your Thanksgiving.
A mini bye week.
Mini bye week.
Playing on Thursday next week against Memphis.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will be there. You guys have the opportunity to win tickets. As always, we have season tickets that we have purchased and we purposely give away because we are trying to fill the seats. So, pack Yalman if you can. If you can't afford it, we're going to be giving tickets away. So enter our competition. Yep. It'll be on Twitter. So
make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube because we're having conversations about maybe a spinoff of this pod, I guess is the way to put it.
Just shorter,
a different version of this pod, more.
It's, I think, in my opinion, and maybe we call it something different. In my opinion, it's still going to be Wave Watch.
Yeah,
it's just going to be very dialed in, smaller videos about very particular topics, maybe like recruiting or, just certain things here and there. So
I don't think there's a ton of other people putting out that type of content for Tulane, is how I'll put it. So if you are interested in it when we announce it, check it out.
Absolutely. And listen, while we're talking about that, I know you mentioned there's not a lot of other people putting that stuff out, but there's a lot of other great content creators in the Tulane space. It's definitely blown up. I appreciate you guys out there. And I know some of you listen to us too. So it's awesome. I respect it. Always shout out to Fear the Wave Collective. If you haven't subscribed over there, go support Tulane football. If you don't want to subscribe to their content, just go donate. Donate.
See?
Yeah. I guess, let's roll in the lanyap, because that's actually my lanyap.
We do this every week and I never come prepared.
That's okay. And this could just start a conversation if it has to, or maybe it'll spur something for you. My lanyap topic actually has to do with Fear the Wave. We saw today just how important NIL is to college football. The modern day college football is NIL, and Fear the Wave are literally the ones driving Tulane, right? You see Bryce Underwood today flip from LSU to Michigan, reportedly $12 million, just insane amounts of money. Yeah. But listen, that's what's going on these days in college football. Now, I don't know if you're going to see a guy at Tulane get $12 million, but we can dream, and Fear the Wave is going to get you there. So go give them money.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't have anything else to add to that. I just echo that. I'll just, I don't know what we're going to do for an episode or anything next week. Thanksgiving's next week. So I'll just say what I'm thankful for, man. I'm thankful for life. Mm-hmm. We just went on vacation, thankful to be able to do things like that. Yeah, man, I'm just thankful to get to wake up every day and just live life and
love it.
Yeah. It's something simple, but the things we take for granted sometimes. I think that's it.
Oh yeah, brother.
Yeah.
Follow your dreams.